You are very welcome to a new part of the Ready for Raiding strategy guide. In the next few minutes we will explain a few abilities. To make it easier, we are showing them with an identification tag with 3 different symbols, which are supposed to show you if these are suitable for your player or not. Now I want to introduce one of the bosses of the Firelands to you. This is the hunter Shannox. The Shannox has got 2 dogs. With one of them, Shannox plays fetch the stick all the time. That stick hurts a lot. The other dog seems to be blind. Well, he runs from adventurer to adventurer and licks their faces. Shannox also hides traps everywhere. But of course, we are way too smart to walk into those. Instead, we lure the one dog with the stick into a trap. And well, the other dog is blind. When both dogs are dead, the Shannox gets all mad and angry. That's why we also go and kill him. How this works in detail? Let's have a look. Our 25-man strong group has just gathered here at the Ascent to Beth Tylec's nest in the western part of this instance. Previously, we removed quite a few trash mobs, on one hand to enable Shannox to spawn and also not to be disturbed by somebody else. You should have 2 to 3 tanks at the ready for this fight. 2 should stay near Shannox at all times, always on place 1 and 2 of the threat table. A third one takes care of one of the dogs, Riplimp to be exact. Rageface doesn't have to be tanked as he runs from player to player anyway. I'll explain why he does that in a little while. Beside the 3 tanks we've 6 healers. You can also use 7, no problem at all. All you have to do then is to place your melees and ranged cleverly. Most of the melees we send to attack Shannox. And the ranged are taking care of Rageface and Riplimp. The whole fight is definitely the easiest one in this instance. You just have to mind the traps and DPS the 3 mobs. As I said, our goal is to kill the 2 dogs first of all, then to get Shannox down to less than 30% and kill himself too. The 30% thing has to do with the fact that everything here seems to have a 30% in rage, which means every time a dog dies, Shannox gets 30% more attack speed and damage. With both dogs dead, it'll be 60%. And both dogs have the same in rage, so at a little bit less than 30%, they become a bit stronger too. You should try to kill both dogs approximately at the same time, and Shannox after that, who should not get under 30% beforehand. We didn't take it so seriously here, and first killed one dog and slowly took care of the second. Our tanks are strong enough. Depending on how well equipped yours are, you can do it the same way or, as suggested, differently. Let's talk about the dogs. Riplimp is the dog who has to be tanked and who carries this stick around all the time. Well, he has to catch it first. The spot to which the stick gets thrown is marked by Shannox with this nice red dot you can see here, and where a lot of damage is inflicted. That's why our tank pulls Riplimp aside when he sees the red spot, and Riplimp runs back to Shannox after that. While he runs with the stick, Riplimp is vulnerable to snare effects, which you should put on the dog that very moment. Riplimp causes some kind of bleed dot on the tank, which raises the stacks and the damage which we want to let run out. That's why our strategy is to slow Riplimp down big time so he doesn't reach his target, well, his tank. Also, the tank tries to position himself with Riplimp in a way that forces the dog into one of the crystal traps when he's on his way. The crystal trap was thrown by Shannox towards one of the players and was supposed to hit us. But the dogs can get caught in it too, which is what we want to use to our advantage. The dog is out of action for a few moments when he's in a crystal trap, and our tank has more time to let his dot run out. The red crystals, which you can see here all the time, are the crystal prison traps. In most cases, there should be a dog in there. For us, it was the second try in which we managed the kill. A few of our players were still a bit inexperienced, which means we had a few players who triggered the traps themselves, so they got caught in this block and have to be taken out of there. The crystal prison traps are a bit dangerous as you cannot heal the player inside, but he can be attacked by Rageface and might suffer some damage. You should try to hurry and destroy the crystal prisons as soon as you see one. That has the highest priority. Of course, the second dog is not blind as I said in the beginning, but he has some kind of random aggro, which means he runs from player to player and causes a lot of damage. He has an ability called Face Rage, with which he causes 8000 damage every 0.5 seconds, and raises the crit damage over time as well. If you have spread your range over the 2 dogs anyway, that should not be a problem. Otherwise, I recommend you use 2 players who make relatively high crits, as the Face Rage only stops if he gets more than 45,000 damage with one single attack. If not sure, take 1 or 2 mages, and the whole thing should not be a problem. Try to kill Rage Face first, as the random damage on the whole group is quite unpredictable. Use 1 or 2 healers who focus on Rage Face's target, so the players get healed fast if they got attacked. This way, Rage Face shouldn't be a problem during his lifetime. You just saw the marked spot again, followed by the explosion and the spiral-shaped flame attack. Those flames cause a lot of damage, obviously. So you should get out of this circle as well as out of the red one too. What you can't see very well in this fight are the traps. There are 2 kinds of traps which look very similar. One of them is simply orange and the other one is red. The immolation trap is the less dangerous one. You could lure a Rage Face into that kind. It only causes quite some fire damage initially and leaves a little dot. The more dangerous one is, as I mentioned, the crystal prison trap, in which you shouldn't run yourself, but rather Riplimp, so he gets wrapped in this nice crystal block. That's why you shouldn't attack Riplimp or the dog who is stuck in it, as he comes out faster if you do. We got the first one dead, so Shannox gets a good bit angrier and his attacks get 30% stronger. You can tell by him getting a bit red. We stay close to the second dog. Something else about the dogs what I forgot to mention earlier. When a dog runs into one of the traps, he gets a wary buff consequently, which keeps him from triggering another trap immediately. The buff lasts for 25 seconds, so for 25 seconds you can't send him into another trap. You have to slow the dog down though, as I said earlier, so he doesn't get back to the tank too quickly. Remember, you cannot get him into several traps in a row. As the Shannox tanks also receive the jagged tear dot, they must alternate tanking after 3 to 5 stacks of the dot. Regrettably, however, Shannox is taunt immune. That's why the tanks must always be at number 1 and 2 of the threat list. Dotted tanks will then cease their attacks and the other one tries to produce more threat. In case you have scheduled only 1 tank for Shannox, he must use the moment of the hurl spare attack to start running until his dot runs out. Use all abilities to get a greater distance. Intervene, Stampeding Roar, Goblin Rocket Jump, Rocket Boots, or get assisted by a Priest's Leap of Faith. During this enraged phase, or from the moment that Riplimp is dead, Shannox cannot throw a stick anymore as his doggy cannot bring it back anymore. That's why he creates a magma rupture, which means he rams the stick into the ground and creates damage around himself. That causes approximately 50,000 damage for each player and creates a debuff which raises the flame damage by 40%. The magma rupture comes every 20 seconds, so that raises the damage for your entire group. So you have to be particularly fast during this phase and should use Time Warp, Heroism and Bloodlust to kill Shannox as fast as possible. I think I explained everything you have to know for this fight. I hope it helps, and that your players don't walk into the crystal traps as much as we did here.